how's the real estate industry doing? Being that UDX does, well, from what I remember, a lot of software in the real estate space. What's happening? Can you tell us?
We have clients in the real estate space in many parts of the country. So I feel like we have a very good finger on the market. Clients want to keep doing more with us. So I think the market is really good. Now, there's a lot of talk about the market in general, about it's reaching peak. But that's not what I'm seeing from clients. I'm not seeing any pullback on future investments in the technology that we're making for them, or any plans to stop talking about ideas or things that they'd like to do.
I mean, they're all making money right now, right? Basically, the real estate industry. I mean,
I feel, from my perspective, as a solutions provider to real estate clients, it's really good. We have real estate clients throughout the United States. So I feel like we have a very good perspective than maybe a single broker in a small town. I mean, we have clients on the West Coast, we have clients on the East Coast, we have clients in Middle America. And nothing in our discussions have changed from rolling out new technologies, building new software and automations for them. It's all systems go.
So, like, what do you automate for real estate?
And
also define automation.
Sure. Well, I guess our version of automation, I'm sure everybody has their own version or perspective on automation. Our automation is, in terms of real estate, is moving data around, lots of it, putting it in formats that can help our clients essentially make more money. We will take the raw data from an MLS. We will pair it with data from other sources and present that in a website that essentially helps sell real estate. And we do it in a way to have maximum effect. And what I mean by that is we will take the data and use it to create what I call million landing pages.
In search?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. We will basically arrange the data in a way to create many versions of itself that Google will interpret it as fresh and interesting data.
Actually, you should back up and explain the million. Yeah, actually, because we've been talking about this million page landing idea for a while. It's your idea, but can you just break it down for us and what is it? Why?
Well, the idea was how can we increase a page count of a real estate site and also keep it unique enough so that it can remain competitive against like regional forces, like the top agent in your city, but also compete against national forces like Zillow or Redfin. And the way that we achieve that is by arranging the data in as many ways as possible. So it's almost like how modern day artificial intelligence works, is just by trying every, branching out and going every different direction. We're doing that with real estate data too. What it will do is allow us to capture searches that we would not have thought of.
Well, maybe can you explain what do you mean by real estate data? Like what is that?
Well, in simple terms, it's like the data that describes a real estate listing.
Okay.
Like you look at a real estate listing, it's got houses or it's got bedrooms and bathrooms. All that data is in a set, and we download it and we move it around and make it more manageable and useful for us. And ultimately that will end up on a web page that's presented to.
So this is data
users.
Enrichment, right?
Yeah.
Is that what's one of the ways of calling it?
Sure.
So you basically
enrich
the data
as
you move it around.
We'll enrich the data by applying other sources of information to it, like sales history. But we'll also rework the data in more meaningful ways. Like, for example, something really stupid like, does it have a basement? Will be like a yes or no field. but then there'll be a separate field that describes the aspects of the basement. We'll kind of merge that and get rid of the yes, it has a basement, and just make the pieces of the basement useful in a way so that somebody who's searching for finished basement will have a landing page for that.
So in a way, you're basically taking kind of like the market data from the MLS and automatically making it more useful for searching for it on Google.
We're turning it in. We're turning like this raw data that was meant for just like a spreadsheet almost, and we're trying to turn it in more meaningful data that will match up with somebody's search from Google. And the thing is, we're doing that in so many different ways, and that's how you get over 1 million. I mean, you can go probably 30 million. We haven't really flexed the concept as far as it will go.
So what does it mean to have 30 million pages? Like, what does it mean to have 1 million pages? Like,
sure.
Explain that to me.
Well, I mean,
where are they all? Are they all in the computer?
No,
they're in the cloud.
They're all created dynamically, and the way that we generate these landing pages, the way that we organized it, it all goes through the URL. So, like on a typical real estate site, you might have, let's say, a city name like Durham, where we are right now. So you might have a landing page called Durham Real Estate, super duper broad. Everybody's competing for Durham Real Estate. Now, what if we created a version of that page, but for, I don't know, townhomes? So now you have Durham townhomes for sale. So you're getting a little more specific. There's less competition. There's also less people searching for it, but they're more qualified because they know they want to be in Durham and they know they want a townhouse. Let's take that a step further. 3 bedrooms. So Durham, townhouse, 3 bedrooms. Let's have a landing page for that. That's a simple one. Nobody's doing that. We are though. Let's take it further. Durham, townhouse, 3 bedrooms, fenced backyard or finished basement from the previous example. So you're getting further and further, more and more specific. The amount of search traffic is getting lower and lower, but the people that are searching that, they're becoming higher and higher qualified. So if you can imagine, take all the cities, all the types of real estate, including commercial land, rentals, and you do that across all these different points that describe a real estate listing, in 1 million landing pages is extremely simple.
How do you know what people are searching for?
You don't.
Okay, so you just kind of
this is like
so it's like a continuous A/B test.
Yeah.
Like, do we go more granular or do we back up?
It doesn't matter. I mean, in the end, let's do it all.
Is there any kind of penalty to making? Can you overload Google with too many pages?
You can't. No, there's pages with millions. I mean, look at Wikipedia. Oh, yeah. The thing about Wikipedia though, it is all human written. It's probably a bad example, but look at real estate sites like Amazon is a great example. Yeah. I mean, they have product listings that are the same listing on many different landing pages.
Did you say real estate Amazon?
No, I meant like product listings.
Are they doing that now?
Probably. If they're not, they're
Google used to. They stopped for some weird reason. I think like 8 years ago.
The problem though becomes indexing, getting Google to like realistically index that amount of pages on your site, and there's different strategies for that, and that's one of the difficult challenges to this strategy is getting Google to index the Durham townhome is easy, but getting it to go to Durham townhome, 3-bedroom, fenced backyard, you're starting to get super specific. It gets more difficult. But I've got strategies for that.
So what you're doing is basically taking information from one database the MLS has and ultimately putting into Google's database.
Yes.
And enriching the data in a way where the traffic will go to your client.
Yes. Part of the enrichment too is trying to generate that unique content because everybody's got the same data set, right? Everybody's got this
2 bedrooms, yeah, square feet.
What the creative process though is arranging it in ways that makes it appear unique. Well, because it is unique.
To appear unique to who? A person or to the
Both.
Google?
Well, because you're kind of fighting 2 battles. you have the human that could go to Zillow because that's what they use and know, or they can come to our client sites that they might not be familiar with, but they are now because they came to us through Google.
Yeah, I remember doing a survey, I think a couple of years ago. Should probably pull it up, but it basically talked about how do people do their real estate search, and pretty much overwhelmingly they still start on Google or a search engine. They just end up at Zillow because their SEO is really good, right? Is that still the case?
They're dominating. What's interesting too is Zillow buys up the competition. So in many search results, Zillow will own like the first 5 results because they just buy, like Trulia is, what used to be a competitor, is now owned by them.
There's better examples. There's smaller examples. I remember there's like some city-specific sites, like I think there's like a New York and Chicago ones. They'll basically have like a a metropolitan type Zillow, and they buy those up too, right?
Yeah, and I think Google tries to insert local options into results so that you'll have kind of like a combination on the first page of both local players and national players. And part of our strategy with our clients is for them to leverage their local presence so that not only are we using technology that's at or above Zillow, but they also have a local, it's called NAP, name, address, and phone, that will help them that much more edge out Zillow.
And what is Google trying to do? Like, right, because when you're automating things, you kind of want to understand everybody's incentives, I would imagine, right?
Yes.
What does Google want?
Well, this is what a lot of people say is like, you don't optimize for Google, optimize for humans, because that's what Google's doing. They're optimizing for humans. The reason why people keep coming back to Google is because they're so good at search. So that is their objective.
What does it mean to be good at search? Meaning, like I would imagine, like like how do you measure being good at search? Just broadly speaking.
I don't know.
Is it like the number of pages they go through before they click on something, or
maybe it could be? I mean, especially now with Google Analytics. Google Analytics is almost on everything.
What is Google Analytics?
Well, it's a tool by Google to basically measure the use of your own website. So Google has that,
and they
data.
Collect all of it for themselves, of course.
For sure,
that's good.
It's free. I mean, it's like a very high level.
Like it's free, like everything else that's free.
Yeah. You give your data away for sure.
Okay, so,
but I think like back to your question is what is Google doing? Is they're trying to create the best possible search experience for the user, and that's a combination of things. Like back to what I was saying earlier, when you perform a local real estate search, they're going to give you those national players and they're going to give you the local players because people want to see the options, and I think that's part of it.
So in other words, Google gives like local businesses some extra like bonus points or something.
Yep, totally.
Really?
Yep. And there's a lot of other things that they do.
Why do they do that?
Why do they do that?
No, I'm just do you speculate, I guess. I'm just curious, why would they? Because like if their objective is to have the best search experience, wouldn't they just try to basically, would they not care?
Maybe, yeah. But I think that there's also other pressures on them. I mean, if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, political pressures, there's been tons of lawsuits around those first search pages because they're giving preferential treatment to certain things. Same thing with Amazon search. I mean, the same conversation could be applied to product search on Amazon. They have the same battle, especially because Amazon has Amazon Basics, which is their own branded.
Yeah, I wouldn't
products.
Put Google and Amazon though in the same category because you go on Amazon to buy something. Yep. Google is for the rest, everything else. Like imagine running the world search. It's got to be crazy, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that's maybe what Zillow's going for. They want to be the Amazon, but for real estate.
I'm surprised Amazon hasn't bought Zillow.
Oh, man. That would be insane. Maybe it's something they're thinking of or have thought of.
Now that I said it out loud, I got a feeling it's going to happen. It seems so obvious.
Sure.
Who was it that like a year ago or 2 years ago, you sent me a video of some economist was basically talking about Zillow, like basically kind of
they said
stretching themselves too thin or like.
Yeah, the short of it was they aren't ever going to reach like critical mass in real estate, or they won't become the de facto solution like Google is to search in the web, because ultimately the best source of real estate service is from a local player. And Zillow will never be a local player just by the nature of their operation.
Right.
And that's great for us because our clients are these local operators. Now, some of them are local in multiple places, but they're still not a national presence like Zillow.
It's kind of almost a paradox because like real estate is inherently local. Zillow is inherently not local. So it seems like it wouldn't work, but yet they made a lot of money.
Sure. Well, I think, I could speculate, but I think one of the major contributors is like their website is fast and easy to use.
So they just made a good website.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, go just a quick experiment. Go look at some of your local real estate agent websites. It's like,
oh yeah, no, well, it's really almost
terrible.
Yeah, that I remember. It's crazy. Like,
I mean, but if you think about that experience and you apply that to all the millions of little cities and towns, I mean, that's just how Zillow bubbles up. And that's where the million landing page idea is. It's that same concept, that same theory, where you just bubble up across a wide swath of potential searches, because it's going to take a long time to rank for Durham real estate, but it can take less than a week to rank for Durham townhome, 3-bedroom, fenced backyard.
Is there any way to find out if that, like, I asked you, I think you already said no, but how can you like find out? I want to ask again, can you find out what people search for? But can you, what am I trying to ask?
It's actually getting more difficult to find out what people search for,
really?
Because Google no longer passes that referral information to you.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
because
right.
of user privacy.
Right. And because
they're very big on user privacy.
Okay.
But what they do is they do expose some data at a more broad and general sense through their AdWords, which is now Google Ads tools, to help advertisers figure out what keywords to target. However, you're not going to get those what are called long tail keywords, like 3 words or longer. They're not going to reveal that data. That's the special sauce. That's where all the money's made.
Okay, so explain to me the whole paid. Okay, so keywords, you pay for keywords on ad, whatever it's called now, right? How
Google
does that Google Ads? How, and there's like tools to research keywords and what people search for, right? But how does that? What data is that based on? Like, is that taking into account all the organic data that's out there, or is it just like, I guess?
There's 2 sources of information. You can go direct from Google because they expose tools for their advertisers to figure out where the search volume is. But they aggregate a lot of that search data into very broad keywords because they want you advertising on broad keywords because that's where the search volume is and they can really pump the numbers up. You can get more information by going through third parties. These third parties are like marketing companies that have built marketing tools, and they have their sources of data that aggregate search traffic. Like they'll get their search traffic from domain brokers that have like little search bars on their, when they park a domain before they sell it, there'll be like a little search bar.
Yeah, but that seems like you're collecting a bunch of noise.
It is, but it's what you have available to you. And a lot of people will basically say that the person that lands on that page is the same kind of searches that would happen on google.com.
So, okay, I have a stupid question. Why, if it's such a mystery what people search for and it's unknown, why not just run a survey to, I don't know, 5,000 people and ask them, what would you search for if you wanted to buy a house?
You could, yeah. I don't know. I think...
actually, wait, I think I already did that.
I think
2 years ago. So we actually might have the data for that. Yeah, vaguely.
Like, speaking personally, I don't know if you put me on the spot and asked me. I don't know. But if I was in the middle of like needing a home or needing something, that's when I would know to search. I know like from... I tend to over-research things before I buy them. And then I end up buying them.
Well, how do you know you're over-researting? What are you comparing yourselves to?
My wife.
Okay.
Who says I take too long.
All right. Well.
I don't know, like looking up a dishwasher. So you're not familiar with dishwashers, so you start off with dishwashers, right?
And next thing you're at Barnes and Noble with like a bunch of books out.
Yeah. You're looking at like, parts lists. Like, well, this one has too many parts. So
you're learning German just to understand the
I did end up with a
instructions
Bosch.
in the original language.
I did end up with a Bosch after going through KitchenAid. But you go through this process of very broad to very specific. As you go through that journey, you learn more and more. Same thing with real estate. Generally people find out how much money they have to spend. And then they're like, I want to get the biggest house possible with that money.
I always thought that may be, what do you call it, Conway's Law almost. Like, are we certain that people always, because most real estate sites, they will ask you before you start, do you want to rent or do you want to buy? Why do they do that? Because do people always just know beforehand? It seems like people more have a general budget and they would be willing to go either way depending on kind of the price and all the elements. I always thought it was weird to just like segment things in two directions. Like I'm talking from like the user experience perspective. From the sales perspective, it makes perfect sense. But from
I think when, that's a good question, but I think there's two ways to answer it. I think one is people look at their home as an investment. So like their money will appreciate in most cases.
That must be nice. I bought my house in 2007 and then, then basically that was the end of that. That was my investment.
Sure. Well, a lot of people, it's their biggest investment.
Yep.
Well, and so
my Tahoe has better equity than the real estate that I bought.
Well, but at least for me personally.
Yes, you did the right thing.
I was looking for like, where can I put money and I know it will appreciate over time.
I remember when you were buying your house, it was once again very methodical, but was it schools? That was the big thing for you, right?
That was part of it. The second biggest, and I feel like more real estate sites should somehow incorporate, and I've done tons of research, it's totally possible, but is commute time from your point of interest.
Well, I mean,
most likely work.
Are you thinking pre-COVID or post-COVID? Because I don't know if commute time is going to be.
No, that's a good point.
That might have changed actually. We haven't talked about commute time since a year ago. So,
but at the time, I didn't want to be more than 30 minutes from RTP, which is south of Durham.
No, I totally get it. I guess maybe commute time just wouldn't be to your work. It could be to your school or your kid's school, or in general commute time, just not to work.
And at the time, we didn't have an office. So to me, it was about my wife and keeping her options open. Because RTP, she works at BASF. If that doesn't work out, there's tons of options there. So 30-minute commute is good. The second or maybe third, because it goes for me, I guess fourth. So I want to buy. I know how much money I could spend. I know I want to be 30 minutes from RTP, Research Triangle Park. And then the next one was the best public schools. Being around good public schools helps with the appreciation aspect of my first decision, which was to buy.
So square footage, you don't care about square footage. You don't care about the year the house is built in.
Square footage was not important to me because...
Do you care about crime?
Well, places with good public schools have low crime.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
So it kind of normalizes that.
Has that changed?
I don't think so.
So you bought your house a few years ago. Okay, based on
5 years. I just hit the 5-year mark.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah.
Nice. So do you think that process has changed from, I guess not, from what you hear by talking to your clients or whatever, has that process changed, or are people still basically doing the same thing? They kind of go through, because these seem like pretty standard steps.
Yeah.
More or less. If you don't know, you don't know. But
I don't think I know. At least that's not like the talk that I'm getting from them.
What talk are you getting? What are the real estate people saying?
Well,
give us the inside scoop.
They want to grow, or and I keep leveraging my million landing page idea, and I keep bringing it back because I feel like all of this that we're talking about, it normalizes all that problem, because we're going to create a page for every single potential path that somebody took to make the decision on, like where I landed on my house, there would have been a page for me that was perfect.
Mm-hmm. And are you and is this going to be in like different markets or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And in fact, we don't want more than one client in a single market, because this technology that we've developed is so devastating to anyone else.
Cannibalize. You don't want to cannibalize. Although,
or we could be like a Zillow where we own like the top 5.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
We haven't really got to that part.
Yeah. It's like, it sucks to cannibalize kind of your clients, but on the other hand, if you can, form a cartel and move everybody else out of the market, then there's value in that as well.
Well, and we're trying that.
I think it's called a cartel, right? Is that the proper model for
maybe
getting the top 5?
Sounds cool.